So our first step is going to be perimeter, but before we do that, let's kind of look at an overview of the different types of calculations we're going to do with geometry. So we're going to first look at two-dimensional shapes. Okay, so something that's two-dimensional, like I can draw out, you know, just this like a square or a circle, and we've got, when we say two dimension, it's like if this is the length and this is the width. So in terms of two-dimensional shapes, the things we're usually interested in are the perimeter. So think of perimeter as like going around the shape. Like what's the distance around the shape? So it's actually going to be, it's going to just be linear still. Like if I took all the sides of this square and I went like this, 2, 3, 4. If I had those 4 sides, I could lay them flat. Like think of like fencing, putting a fence around a yard. That would be putting a fence around the perimeter. Okay, so this is still just going to be, I'm going to say linear. So if we're measuring in, let's say inches, it's still just going to be normal inches. Versus area, we're talking about now, we're like shading in this square. What's the two-dimensional area, like covering? So like you're talking about in a house, you're going to put down carpet in a room. How many square feet or square yards do we need to cover the floor? So that's two-dimensional now. Okay, so for area, this is like we're trying to cover the shape. So this is now, just like it sounds, area. And it's going to be now things like square inches, square feet. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the dimensions. So like we've done before, like inches times inches, we get square inches. Feet times feet, we get square feet. So that's for what we're going to do, focus on for two-dimensional shapes. Now when we get to three-dimensional, let me draw a cube here. I'm going to attempt to draw a three-dimensional cube. So picture this, it's hard to draw three-dimensional shapes on a two-dimensional, you know, like piece of paper like you guys have in front of you. But if I'm trying to make it look like a three-dimensional shape, like, here, hold up, like here I've got one of those round chapsticks, you know, this would be like a sphere is what it's going to be called. So this would be like a three-dimensional shape, or like a Kleenex box. That's, you can picture that. I'm going to use Kleenex box as my example of, picture that as a three-dimensional shape. Now the things we're going to calculate here would be either surface area or volume. So if we're talking about the Kleenex box surface area, think about like the cardboard that it started off as before you fold it into a box. So it might have been like, you had the base, and here's one of the sides, and here's another side, and another side, and another side, plus probably like the top, you know. So it could be laid flat and then bent to make it into a three-dimensional box. So, but surface area, it's like we're doing all the different sides. Like if this was the bottom, this was the top, side, 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 something that's rectangular, you would have 6 sides to it. Yeah, I've got 6 there. So surface area is still going to be two-dimensional because it's the area of all the sides. So this is still going to be like square inches or square feet or square millimeters, square meters, any linear dimension squared. Versus volume, this is like, well, how much Kleenex can fit in the box on the inside. Okay, so volume, it's like we're filling inside, what can it hold? So here's where, so volume would be like, I'm going to say capacity to hold, like how much, you know, if it's like liquid, how many gallons can fit into a tank, things like that. So inches cubed or feet cubed, or like gallons, you know, we're going to do problems where we're specified, we have to make something that can hold this many gallons, and we have to do some calculations in inches and feet, so we'll have to do some converting. So this is just a little overview of all the different things we're going to be calculating in this unit. So, and we'll have the formula sheet. As you're watching these, have your formula sheet ready. so that you can kind of refer to how we're going to do these calculations.